In today's video, I'm going to teach you how to deploy MERN stack apps on Vercel. To get started, make sure your front end and back end are prepared for deployment. This means your project should already be working locally, your code should be pushed to your Git repository, and you should be ready to deploy both parts of the app. For a MERN stack project, this is especially important because the front end and back end often need to communicate correctly in production. Taking a moment to confirm everything is organized before deployment can help you avoid configuration issues later. Once you're ready, head over to your Vercel dashboard. From there, click Add New, and then choose Project. This is where you'll create a new deployment directly from your repository. Vercel makes this process very streamlined, so if your code is already connected to a supported Git provider, you should be able to move through this pretty quickly. Next, import your backend repository. If your MERN app is split into separate front-end and backend repositories, make sure you're selecting the backend one at this stage. This is important because the backend usually needs specific environment variables and deployment settings that are different from the front end. Double check that you've chosen the correct repository before continuing. When you reach the project configuration page, look for the framework preset setting and choose Other. Since backend setups for MERN apps don't always match Vercel's front-end focused presets, selecting Other gives you more appropriate default handling for this kind of deployment. It's a small setting, but it helps ensure your backend is deployed with the right expectations. After that, open the environment variables section and add your Mongo URI connection string. This allows your deployed backend to connect to your MongoDB database in production. Be careful here, because this value is sensitive and should always be stored securely in Vercel's environment settings rather than hard-coded in your source code. Also, make sure the variable name matches exactly what your application expects. If your app uses a production API URL variable, go ahead and add that as well. This is commonly used when your front end or back end relies on a specific deployed endpoint instead of a local development URL. Using the correct production value here helps your app communicate properly after deployment. Once everything looks good, click Deploy. Vercel will begin building and publishing your backend. After the deployment finishes, you can review the generated project URL and test your app to make sure everything is working as expected. If something doesn't load correctly, the deployment logs in Vercel are usually the first place to check. With that done, your MERN stack app backend is now live on Vercel.